Bullet time is a stylistic way of showing that you're in a constructed reality, and that time and space are not the same as, you know, here, us today living our lives. It's slowing down time to such an extent that you really see everything around you as clearly as you possibly could. Bullet time is something that was conceived for The Matrix specifically, but I think it's the byproduct of the directors observing the controls coming into place, and then they ask the right question at the right time. You always know that you're doing something that is groundbreaking. If someone asks something that you go, maybe, if we do some development and get the right minds working on it, and it takes some pretty heavy thinking to get it together. Everything begins with a simulation. All the computer simulation information is the basis of a timing sequence. Each camera has a specific moment in time to fire a frame of film. All that is taking into account the net effect, the total effect of the move. That is a camera coming up to speed, moving at a speed, and coming off a speed. Particular rig, there are 120 cameras and 2 motion picture cameras set up. The rig that we've made can be configured into any shape that you want. The shapes are basically what we compose in our simulations. It can do S-curves, it can do arcs, it can do spirals, it can do anything you want. It's an erector set. The heights of the cameras, where they're pointing at, also from the same simulation. In the middle of that box right there is a motion control laser pointing system that takes an animation file and creates a point on the surface of that cube that tells us where to point the camera. The 2 motion picture cameras are going to be, in this particular shot, running, that's running at 150, that one's running at 120. There are other bullet times where the end camera is a photosonics camera, so we'll be running that at 360. I can choose at will any elapsed real-world time to photograph. That is, if I have a guy falling over, I can choose to capture the whole event in the time that it takes to go around the circle. I could choose to capture only a very brief moment, and that is how we determine what frame rate the cameras eventually wind up. I could shoot the same exact stunt several times over, creating a simulation of 100 frames per second, 500 frames a second, 2,000 frames a second, all with the same camera moving at the same speed and time. I could go forwards in motion with the camera and forwards in time with the event, but then I could also choose to stop the camera abruptly, start moving backwards against itself while the action continues to move forward. I can shoot the move coming from both sides at the same time, crisscrossing over and ending. I can shoot waves, you know, cycles of film that crisscross like waves over the middle. There is a very heavy digital half to this capture. Not every frame that a camera captures is the only frames that will be seen. There's a lot of a process we call interpolation, which is the creation of frames digitally that are the byproduct of real frames. That is, we analyze what real frames we have, and we can create new frames of moments in between the captured frames to make moves longer and or stretch them out or do time compression effects. There's a lot of work going on in the art form of interpolation, and it needs to be said, because it's not what you see is what you get. It's all baby steps towards something much larger that won't be really commonplace for a few years, but there are people around the world that sort of, scratching their heads about a new way to photograph things. And it'll be as revolutionary as when cameras came off sticks and went to a crane, when they came off of cranes and went to steady cams. We're talking about cameras that are now broken from the subject matter, that are virtual. So that's the next phase. That's what computers have introduced into cinematography.